We are starting off this morning with temperatures across parts of the plains nearly 45 degrees below normal for the time of year. And this is just sort of alluding to what we're going to be dealing with over the next couple of days. We've got this rush of cold air from all the way up north, just spiraling into parts of the plains. And this is slowly going to be pushing off towards the east thanks to the jet stream diving down right along parts of the mid latitudes, which is where we're located. And we're going to be dealing with widespread below normal temperatures over the next couple of days, but everyone's tuned in here to really see what the snow is doing. So we've got the overall best chances for the storm track right on top of us in this polygon highlighted here in white. We got some cold air rushing in from parts of the Great Lakes regions, which is going to add some lake effect snow to some areas that are seeing snow right now for parts of Nashville, Chattanooga, Memphis, even parts of Asheville, Louisville, Lexington, into West Virginia, and then eventually into our neck of the woods. But this is the overall setup for the day. We've got that rush of cold air continuing in from the north, and then, of course, the overall best storm chances right on top of us, spreading out towards the east and out towards our west. And then later tonight, we'll continue to see that setup sort of evolve a little bit as that area of low pressure moves off towards the Atlantic. And what this is going to do is actually bring in more moisture off the Atlantic into the Virginia Beach area, into the Maryland area up here. And you'll see snowfall totals actually be a little bit higher over in eastern Virginia, just because there's going to be a little bit more moisture supply than what we have in our neighborhoods throughout the next 24 to 30 hours. Now, the surface setup right now, we've got this surface trough highlighted here in this brown dashed line, basically right on top of us. So that's that area of low pressure at the surface that is continuing to move, and we kind of see it spiraling right here just towards the north and west of Roanoke into parts of, say, just south of Charleston. That's where the center of rotation is that we're seeing here. That's going to continue to push off towards the east over the next couple of hours, and then eventually later tonight it gets offshore. Here's a look at current radar. This is what we're dealing with at the moment. A lot of this blue, as I look out the window, I was going to say it's not really reaching the ground, but looks like it just started snowing here in Roanoke. We've got maybe a tenth of an inch of snow that has fallen within the last 15 minutes or so. But a lot of this is pretty light, fluffy snow. It's going to stack up pretty quickly. It's not so much the best snow for, say, snowballs or snow making snowmen, but as the day progresses, the snow will get wetter and wetter, and we'll get more and more. So hopefully, as time progresses, maybe make some snowballs later on in the day. But here's a look at radar. Parts of the south side not seeing too much snow ongoing, but as we progress throughout the rest of the morning, these snow bands down here will eventually make their way off in this direction. And so parts of the south side will continue to see some of that snow really move in. But looking at the wider view, we've still got a lot to go. I mean, it just started snowing here in Roanoke. We've had the New River Valley having snow for about the last 2.5 hours or so. Parts of the Highlands seeing snow for the last hour and a half. But down in the Gulf, big time rain, some big time thunderstorms ongoing. Lots of lightning down here packed in. So a pretty dynamic storm, to be honest with you. We've got this light, thin line of ice just north of Charlotte, so maybe some airport delays currently ongoing there. Same thing with this band of ice moving just north of Atlanta into Birmingham, Alabama. So currently tracking that at the moment. But thankfully, all we're going to be dealing with this time around is snow. Okay, so it's not too hard of a forecast. It's just getting down the totals that's a little bit tricky, considering how dry it was this morning. Because we see on U.S. radar all this snow off to the east. A lot of that is having a difficult time making it to the ground, just because the air is so dry, and it hasn't had time to saturate the atmosphere. So a lot of that snow that we're seeing on radar, especially out towards our east over here, hasn't made it to the ground. But that will change over the coming hours as the air becomes more and more saturated. So a little bit of a delayed start for us which will likely impact our snowfall totals. We'll get to those in just a second. But I do want to take you through Futurecast through about 10 a.m., continuing to see some of those snowfall totals add up. And then by about 1, 2, maybe 3 o'clock, a lot of the snow and heavier activity pushes off towards the east into Lynchburg and Southside. Then over in the New River Valley, we're left with some of these snow squalls that we're used to entering from the north and west just based off the mainstream flow. That will bring in some squalls, probably as far east as Roanoke Valley into parts of Bedford, maybe into Floyd, Stewart, Hillsville, Independence. Typical streamline flow right through the mountains that we're used to for this time of year. And then a lot of the moisture supply is yoinked away by 9 o'clock. Oh, let's back it up there. Is yoinked away by about 9 o'clock later tonight. And so we'll have a little bit of a break in some of the snow. We'll stay cloudy. We'll stay cool. We'll stay a little bit breezy. And then once we get into the overnight, say 2, 3 a.m., more moisture supplied in terms of lake effect snow from the Great Lakes region all the way up to our north and west, as this area of low pressure causes the general flow to sort of circulate almost east to west up here, northeast to southwest, and then eventually northwest to southeast right on top of us. So that's what we'll be dealing with as we get into 5, 6, 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. Maybe a little bit of a snowy commute for those of us who are going into work on our Thursday morning, and then eventually we'll start to clear up by about 10, 11 a.m. Notice mostly clear skies, patchy clouds here and there, maybe a few patchy snow showers here and there as well, but eventually wrapping up by around the middle of the day. So here's something that I know you all want to see. I've made subtle changes to this as the later onset or start time of the snow has sort of delayed and impacted the totals. I do think parts of the Highlands see 3 to 5 inches of snow. I think parts of Bland, Giles, even into Wise counties, we'll see 3 to 5 inches. The Lynchburg area scattered about 3 to 5 inches. Same can be said for Southside. Something that's changed a little bit over the last 24 hours or so is the impacts to Martinsville, Stewart, Patrick, and Henry counties, as well as parts of Franklin counties and Pittsylvania counties. Snowfall totals look to be down maybe about 1 inch to 2 inches, which is why we've moved this 3 to 5 inch blue blob off towards the east. And that really has to do with the delayed start time. That also has to do with the storm track. So maybe some of the heavier snow not really going to be passing in the areas that we otherwise initially thought. And we can see where the heavier bands of snow are starting to build in. We see the Nashville area, Bowling Green, Clarksville, Jackson area seeing lots of snow over the last 12 hours or so. About 2, 3, 4 inches, 8 inches of snow in some isolated areas. But we're starting to see some of that snow build into eastern Kentucky, the Charleston area. We're actually starting to see it accumulate on some of our grounds out there, especially Giles County. You guys have seen the most amount of snow so far. As I look out the window again, I can say that the snow is coming down pretty significantly. I'd say moderate. Visibility doesn't seem to be a huge issue in Roanoke at this time, maybe about a mile or so of visibility. But we're certainly expecting some of those heavier snow showers to build in and then add to those snow totals over the next 24 hours or so. So biggest winter storm impacts that we're going to be seeing, accumulating snow. I put it between possible and high because we're not going to be seeing too much accumulation. However, 1 to 5 inches across the board is a pretty decent amount. Slick roads will happen. Those roads that haven't been treated or those roads that eventually do get plowed later on might take a little bit of time. So slick roads, especially on the side roads and the secondary roads compared to your interstates or your major highways that we're going to be seeing. Freezing rain, not really dealing with that this time around. Same with ice. Though in the coming days when some of the snow starts to melt, some of the shaded areas and refreezing, ice may be a little bit of a concern, but for now, not that big of a concern. And then power outages. Last week we had tens of thousands of those. AEP has restored a lot of those areas, but unfortunately I do think power outages become an issue yet again today just because of the frequency of storms that we've been seeing. And then once we're done with the snow tomorrow, right around late morning, early afternoon hours. More of that cold air rushes in. Remember, we talked about this at the start of the live stream. Record-breaking cold air in this area. That's going to spread into the mid-Atlantic, into our region. So we're going to be dealing with temperatures about 25 to 40 degrees below normal. We are right on that. So our daytime high temperatures are right around 20 to 30 degrees for tomorrow. Very similar to what we get today. However, in the afternoon, we start to clear. When we get a little bit of sunshine, we warm up just a little bit at the mid and upper levels. That creates a little bit of a temperature gradient. Temperature gradients cause wind. And so tomorrow, we're going to be seeing quite a bit of wind. Gusts close to 30, 35 miles per hour right around the middle of the day, all the way into the overnight. So it's going to be pretty windy out there once all the snow has wrapped up. And just to sort of end things here, what we're tracking over the next couple of days today, snow has moved in. It's built into the Roanoke Valley. Checked some of our live cams out in Lynchburg, dealing with some light snow out there as well. So starting to see it really build in, starting to become a little bit more widespread. Still going to be cold out there, a little bit breezy. Then tomorrow, the snow is going to continue through the morning. It's going to wrap up, and then winds become really gusty. And then Friday features mostly clear to partly cloudy skies with temperatures warming up as we get into the weekend. So it looks like as we get into the weekend, a lot of that snow is going to continue to melt, and we'll stay partly cloudy. I don't know if there's any questions online or anything, Jasmine. If you could hit me a Teams message and let me know. And if there aren't any, we can get this wrapped up because I've got to go do live cut-ins in about 10 minutes. Give it a second here. All right, we got no questions, but I will say if you guys give me a follow on Facebook, I do post the latest information that I get. It's also a good idea if you want to follow Jeff, Edward, or Delaney on Facebook. But let me just go through some of my comments on there right now. We got snow in Fancy Gap. Nothing in Galax as of an hour ago, but I'm sure they've had some flurries now. Snow in the Blue Ridge, snow in Lynchburg. All right, and no questions. All right, so we'll end it here. We will be doing these live streams later on this afternoon. For updates, you can go to WSLS on air on NBC Channel 10. We'll be doing live cut-ins about every 30 minutes. And then we have the noon show, of course, at 12 o'clock through 1. Then we've got another round of cut-ins at 1:25 and 1:55. And then either Edward, Jeff, or Delaney will be live at 2, 4, and 8 this afternoon for more live stream updates. Thanks for tuning in. Stay safe.